folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. We're going to try to do this video again because I just completely made an entire video for you all and realized that I did not hit the record button. It does happen occasionally, but it hasn't happened for quite a while, and man, is that ever frustrating because you think, oh, I did such a great job. Can I remember to say everything that I said the first time? I don't know. So we'll try this again. Weather report is that it's cold and wet and rainy here in the Ozarks, and it has been for quite a while now. I did get a little bit of sleet last night, but nothing to really to speak of. The roads are clear other than just being, quite a bit of rain coming down. There's a chance of things freezing over tonight, but it's unlikely to affect road surfaces because it's still too warm and the temperatures aren't quite that cold yet. But there does look like northern Missouri did get a pretty good amount of snow, so we'll see. Anyways, the Thanksgiving dinner is still on for tomorrow that we put on every year. So if you're used to coming to our monthly meetings, it's the same place as always. We'll try to eat somewhere around 1 o'clock, 1:30 or so, and bring a dish. If you've got turkey to bring turkey. But anyways, on to other things. Probably the big thing in the news today, it seems like, is that the president announced over social media, and I want to just pause for just a second and make a comment that it's strange how all of a sudden now that when the president or any form of any branch of government or any department within government makes a social media post, that's now apparently official proclamation. It's almost like an executive order or something. But anyways, the president announced on his social media that the airspace over Venezuela is shut down. To not fly there, it's a no-fly zone, and that we will take out, planes that aren't authorized, and that there's military hostilities will commence soon, and all this kind of stuff. And of course, that's caused a big stir on the internet. The strange thing is that Reuters is reporting that the Pentagon was not aware of this happening. They say that there was no discussion of this ahead of time. They say that they're not aware of any military plans to enforce this or anything like that. So it's kind of strange. There's also a lot of back and forth and probably not all correct information coming out of this whole Venezuela us thing. That the president has spoken with him today and gave him 24 hours to leave the country or we will bomb them. Maybe that'll happen. That Venezuela is today putting everything on high alert and putting their defense missile systems active and everything. That Venezuela's been trying to contact the United States to talk to them and to de-escalate this situation. Who knows? The president is still on this, that we got to get rid of all these drugs that are coming out of Venezuela, which definitely does happen. But our own government last year listed Mexico as the #1 country for drugs to come out of, not Venezuela. In fact, Venezuela wasn't even listed. And the president just recently pardoned a guy that was considered one of the top drug runners out of South America. It's all a little strange, but hey, we got to keep up everything. Who knows? Is it going to happen? It looks like it could happen tonight. There's all kinds of rumors online that everything's happening within the next 24 hours or so. The news reported this morning that certain targets were presented to the White House in Venezuela and Colombia by the Pentagon, and the White House was picking which targets to move on. And that if that's correct, then it must be soon, because sometimes those targets change. If you pick a target today and you don't attack till next week sometime or a few days later, those targets could all move and change. So that kind of stuff has a very short lifespan. If all that is true, that's being reported, that they're actually picking specific targets, that has a very short lifespan. So we'll see. Who knows what's going to happen? But it does appear that that we may be moving on Venezuela real soon. If not, it has been quite the dramatic show. Way more, I think, of a dramatic show than when Russia was, making all these threats against Ukraine before they did attack Ukraine. It's a big show. Also, speaking of Russia, Wall Street Journal ran an article, and it's being claimed as a very, very well investigated article, that there's a lot of evidence going back before the president took office that his team had been speaking with certain members of Putin's team about a peace deal, but it wasn't so much so peace for Ukraine. It was a business deal between Russia, certain Russian oligarchs, and certain United States business leaders to open up lots of trade. And in many ways, it's saying to undercut Ukraine and Europe. It was to cut out Europe and Ukraine from trade deals with Russia. So there's a whole lot of big buzz about that. Some of it's probably not too surprising to most of you. The other thing in the news that was just a little blip, but it could be something. The Department of Justice, the FBI, is claiming that they've arrested an Afghani national. Came over pretty much the same way as this guy that shot the National Guardsmen. Kind of a similar person, it seems like. Anyways, they claim that he was preparing to somehow blow up things in Fort Worth, Texas, that he had made claims online and was actively working towards a plan to plant bombs, explosives, or something, and they have arrested him. So, not knowing if this is actually true, it's just the government saying it, it lends to this argument that there are more sleeper cells and Afghanis and Somalis and all of this kind of stuff, because the president out of nowhere mentioned them yesterday or the day before, and then all of a sudden the United States is bombing Somalia again. Yes, that's happened in the last 24 hours. We started attacking Somalia. So it's a lot. It's a lot. Stuff going on between Iran, Israel, and Iraq seems to be all heating up. There's unconfirmed reports that Iran has been launching missiles at certain rebel groups in Iraq, but yet it's not confirmed. There's also reports that Israel has been flying some type of fighter missions or maybe bombing missions over Iraq, although that's not confirmed either. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's busy. And I think that it's very likely that we're going to see attacks real soon. It's more than just drugs out of Venezuela. And I think it's even more than the oil and all that kind of stuff. I think it truly is that Monroe Doctrine of dominance of our hemisphere. And for whatever reason that probably most of us, it's beyond our pay grade, the president and his administration believe that if we can take out Venezuela and control Venezuela, then we'll probably control most of our hemisphere. So we'll see. I'm not making any predictions on this, but it is possible, but that by morning we may see things happen. I don't know, maybe by the time you watch this video, who knows? I don't think it's that going to be that big and dramatic for us. It will just show that we are once again in a state of war. The thing is that this one, depending on how deep the White House administration is interested in getting into it, it could potentially drag us into something that we could be there for quite a while. That's probably the biggest concern. Is that, you got to feed that military industrial complex. If we're winding down what we're doing in Ukraine, they gotta feed. These things are hungry. These big mega corporations that, War Machine and the bankers and stuff, they're hungry. And so, we got to do a war sometime, somewhere. I guess it might as well be Venezuela. Get ready, folks. It's this. What I tell you every day, all the time, you got to keep getting yourselves prepped up, because even if it's not Venezuela, it's something down the road, right? It's another pandemic, it's an economic collapse, it's a banking bail-in or a dollar collapse or digital money eventually or the final AI Skynet takeover. You know, something's happening, right? It's going to happen, and it's going to happen soon in pretty much most of our lifetimes, unless you're really old. Because I think the timeline is probably, 24 months or less for a lot of things. So get ready, because even if we do have 24 months, and a lot of you think it's a lot less, 24 months is not a long time away, folks. So get ready, get your houses in order, and be preparing yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.